Hey everybody, hope and pray that you're doing well today. So we come to our word from the word. And today that word is cause. Cause. Now, maybe not quite like our abbreviated because for as a reason for something, but the cause today more like cause and effect. And what David is actually in this psalm, what he is praying and asking God to cause in his own life. And we can learn a lot from this psalm. You'll see that he wants him to, he wants God to help him to listen, to know, to revive him, and a lot of other things like that he's asking for. And doesn't it make sense for us to, instead of blaming God, asking him to cause things in our lives? Now, a lot of times what we do is when we go through the trials and tribulations of life, many times because of sin that we've gotten ourselves into and we have to pay the consequences of it, a lot of times then we try to blame it on God and say God caused it. Now, God will allow us to be tested, but remember, no evil, no temptation comes from the Lord. Only good things come from above. So a lot of times we've been talking about that even in Sunday school about the past month or so, in the way that temptation affects us. But today, even in that cause, you'll see that David also even has a prayer really for himself that he wouldn't be a stumbling block. And so as we look at today, Psalm 143, looking at verses 7 through 10 today, he says, "Answer me speedily, O Lord, my spirit fails. Do not hide your face from me, lest I be like those who go down into the pit. Cause me to hear your loving kindness in the morning, for in you do I trust. Cause me to know the way in which I should walk, for I lift up my soul to you. Deliver me, O Lord, from my enemies. In you I take shelter. Teach me to do your will, for you are my God. Your spirit is good. Lead me in the land of uprightness." I love the Christian Standard Version of that last part. It says, basically, lead me to walk on level ground. It's the idea of I pray that I would walk, as he said there in verse 8 or verse 7. He didn't want to go down into the pit, and then in verse 8 he says, "Cause me to know the way in which I should walk," so that he wouldn't be a stumbling block, but also so he wouldn't fall himself. And if you think about it, the things that we should ask God in our prayer life, a lot of times we want him to make us avoid things, right? We kind of look at it in a negative sense. And part of the time that's right. I mean, even what was lead me not into temptation, but deliver me from evil. Well, see, just like that, deliver me from evil. Think about here. God calls me to know every morning, calls me to realize every morning that your mercies are new every morning. Calls me to know that. Calls me to remember that. Don't let me forget. Instead of don't let me forget, calls me to remember. It's just a subtle little shift there in our way of thinking. That if we wake up every day and pray, God calls me to serve you today. God calls me to remember your goodness, calls me to remember what you've already blessed me with in the past, calls me to remember that you'll be with me every step of the way today, no matter what today holds. And you could go on and on and on and just have that mind shift and that heart shift of God calls me to change, calls me to be more like you, calls me to be less like me. You think about it, if we know that everything has a cause and effect, can you imagine if God did just that? Don't you think that's what God desires for your life anyway? For you to be obedient, for you to do what he's called you to do, for you to look like him? So if God is doing the cause, can you also imagine what effect the Spirit would have? Can you imagine the effect of our testimony now when we're doing and walking and just being obedient to the will of God? I encourage you today. I don't, not that we should test the Lord, but I mean, put that thought to the test. Put that prayer to the test. Well, heartfelt, not just like a show and tell thing where you want God to prove himself to you. but kind of even the same way where he says, God, don't hide your face from me. I don't want to be headed down to the pit. God, don't hide your face from me. Show me you. Show me what you would have me to know. Show me what you would have me to do. And not only show me, but teach me. And then as you teach me, Lord, cause me to do your will. That should be our prayer, not just today, but each and every day. Something to think about for us all today. God bless you, and I pray you have a great, great day.